What's up, YouTube family? I'm looking for my soul tribe. Where are you guys? This is my first video, and I want to start off by saying that I want to be an influencer really bad, but I want to be an influencer of change, faith, hope, healing, love, light, all that good stuff. I've been through a lot of things in life, things that a lot of people don't know, a lot of people can't understand, and I guess I gotta start telling my story because probably for the last 25 years, I can't count how many people have stopped me out in public and wherever I go, and they ask me my story and what happened and this, that, and the other. So I guess I'll start off by saying when I came out of the Navy, within 6 months of being home, I was in a motorcycle accident. A motorcycle accident that should have killed me. It didn't. I'm so thankful and grateful to God that I'm here today, because that wasn't the only accident I've experienced. I've been in many car crashes. I've been in many situations that should have taken my life, and I wasn't respecting how great and blessed I am to be here. And I guess I'll start with the motorcycle accident. I was coming home from work one day. It was about 5 o'clock. I had stopped at a friend's house. A friend that, like, we would normally smoke weed together and hang out, bullshit. And I remember the day so clearly. I'll never forget it. It was a pivotal point in what would be my growth. So I stopped at my boy's house. Rest in peace to him. His name was Eric Bodner. I stopped there and I said, yo, I got this bag of Northern Lights. Let's smoke together. He said, yeah, definitely. I said, all right, well, I want to go park my bike at home. Come pick me up. I don't want to drive high later. He said, all right, I'm right behind you. So I left his house. I came out onto a major road going home. I pulled up a wheelie. I rode that out for a couple of gears. I dropped it down. I was probably doing about 80, 90 miles an hour. A lady, 68 years old, retired school teacher, was stopped at a light waiting to make a left in front of me. She wasn't making any movements. And at the very last second, right as I was about to come through the intersection, she cut that left-hand turn right in front of me. I lost 2 fingers on the clutch hand. I lost my leg, left side, above the knee. I hit her car, which was an '89 Lincoln, right in the driver's side headlight, front end of her vehicle. My bike crashed through the front of her car. I went tumbling down a full block. My bike was tumbling behind me. This part was filled in by a witness that had passed me as I was rolling past him like a ball, he said. And as I was rolling past him to the next corner, my bike was following me in the same direction. It was like one bounce behind me. As soon as I landed or stopped rolling on the next corner, my bike was supposed to bounce directly into me. And he said somehow, some way, I guess the handlebars turned, something happened where the bike just took a weird bounce to the right. It cleared a 6.5-foot fence, and it blew up in a sump. The bike was nowhere to be seen. The wreckage was pretty much gone. All that was left on the street was my shoes, and my clothing was ripped off. I wasn't wearing much protection. My helmet, thank God, saved my brain and my face. My arms were ripped up, my shoulders, my femur bone was hanging out, my leg was behind me, mangled, twisted in a direction that I couldn't imagine. When I stopped rolling, I sat up, I kind of assessed the damages. I looked down, I saw my femur bone hanging out, I saw my fingers were dangling off, my wrist was shattered, my wrist was shattered, my thumb was broken, my spleen was punctured, I was coughing blood out. I laid back down. I was holding my fingers. I'm screaming to God, this is it. This is I'm another number. I'm another statistic. This is how I'm dying. This is the end. And the first witness that had passed me, he already turned around. He came right to me. He already made a phone call to get a helicopter for me so I could get airlifted to a better hospital than the one I was right around the corner from. The lady who hit me stayed in her vehicle. She never got out. She never came down, never apologized. There was nothing, no correspondence from her in the future going forward. She stayed in her car complaining about chest pains. 68 years old, retired school teacher, lived in $1 million house. I bumped into the neighbor of that lady's daughter who she was going to visit that day. And the neighbor had told me that lady drank every day of her life, that there was no way that she wasn't drunk the day she hit me, and she was never tested. She was never even considered to have been, she shouldn't have been behind the wheel. She was just looked at as an old lady who made a mistake. She actually said that the sun was in her eyes, which was a complete lie. It was to her back. The sun was in my eyes. I was going towards the sunset. So I'm a block away. I'm losing my mind. I'm fighting pain. I'm feeling things the pain that I've never felt before in my life. I'll never feel again. Like I can't even explain how, like when you go to the hospital because you have a broken bone or something, they ask you what your pain is. You want to give a number 1 to 10, and most people with a broken bone are saying 10. Well, they never really experienced that 10. I experienced that 10, and I hope to God I never experience that 10 again. So I'm laying on a corner, and I'm screaming out to God. This is it. This is how my life is ending. My father had always told me never to get on a motorcycle. He almost died on one a few years before I was born. He was hit by an uninsured Mexican in an intersection. Similar to my experience, he was thrown up in the air about 40, 50 feet, landed flat on his back, was rushed to the hospital, pronounced dead 5 times before they finally revived him. He was in a coma for 47 days, and he came out of it a survivor. And growing up, he never allowed me to be on any motorized quads or dirt bikes or scooters, anything with a motor and 2 wheels. He did not want me on, and he was very adamant about that. At this point in my life, I wish I would have listened, but that's not how things always work. So when I was in the Navy in California, the only thing I could afford was a motorcycle, so I got one. And I loved it. I loved being on 2 wheels. I loved being on 1 wheel. It was I was always a BMX rider. I was always a stunt. I always loved the adrenaline. I loved jumping jumps in the woods and racing at the BMX tracks, and anything that would give me that rush and that adrenaline rush. So I'm laying on the floor on the side of the grass or whatever, and the first sheriff that was on the scene, who lived right around the corner, he was like a rookie sheriff. He's standing over me. He's looking at me. Kid, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Keep fighting. This, that, and the other. And I'm tugging on his pant legs, and I'm begging him with tears in my eyes to take his gun out and put a bullet in my head. Like, just kill me, please. I don't want to live this life. I don't want what's coming from here. You know what I mean? Like, even if I do survive it, I don't want it. I really don't. And he immediately backed away from me. I'm not gonna kill you. You're gonna be all right. Just keep fighting. Don't think about this. Da 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 da. And I did come to this point, like this epiphany moment, while laying there, that I could close my eyes and very well probably never open them up again. and I just couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't give up. So I fought the pain. I fought everything. I didn't go into shock or trauma. I don't know how. I don't know that it was everything about my accident was a miracle and a blessing in disguise. So I was put into the helicopter. I'm looking over at the guy next to me. I'm begging him, please, shoot me up with some morphine. Give me something, please. I can't take this pain, and I'm begging him, and he's like, I can't administer any drugs until you get to the hospital. You're gonna be all right. I don't know what you're doing, but you keep doing it. And at this point, my eyes are peeled. I'm clenching my teeth so hard because I am fighting it, and I'm like, I'm not fucking doing anything, and I just, please, I'm just begging. And, within a couple of minutes, we were already at the hospital. I remember being on the stretcher and being rolled through the front doors of the emergency room, or whatever doors they were. And I remember the graded floor, like every bump underneath those wheels of that stretcher went through every damaged pain point in my body. Everything that was hurt, I felt every bump going into that operating room and being put onto that operating table. The doctor who came in, he asked me a couple questions with my name, my date of birth, my social security number. I answered all those questions for him. And then I said, Doc, please don't ask me nothing else. Just put me out. And he put the mask on, put me out. I woke up, I don't know how many hours later, in a hospital bed in the burn unit, which was pretty much like an ICU, but it was a burn unit where, all the road rash that was on my body, or my arms, shoulders, backside, shin, my leg, whatever was left and road rashed up and burnt and really cut up badly. I had to have like 24-hour, nurses there to you know address those damages and change those gauzes and keep those wounds clean and healing. And I was on a morphine drip for the pain. It was pain. It was very painful. I couldn't sleep. I would just, my leg was just chopped off. I woke up, my leg was hacked off above the knee, mid femur. My fingers were amputated. One finger had pins in it. This finger had pins in it. These fingers were amputated. This wrist had pins in it because it was shattered and fused. This thumb had pins in it. And I had one leg, and I felt like a half a man. Half my body was gone. That's how I felt. And what it did to my mental, and the depression and the thoughts of how am I going to live this life, and how long am I going to live this life. And I was telling myself for those next few months in the hospital, I'm just gonna wait for my lawsuit money, get whatever it is, spend it, and not try anymore. Just give up on life and kill myself. That was the plan. And I had those thoughts for a very long time. That wasn't the first time in my life I thought about not wanting to be here on this planet, or in this world. And I'd say that started at about 14 years old, the depression and the suicidal thoughts. And I want to touch on this subject because 2 years ago, my little sister, who was 10 years younger than me, she unalived herself, and she left behind a beautiful 7-year-old boy who's an angel. And I can't believe she did it. And it's sad, and it's really heartbreaking. I don't want to cry. It could come out, but thinking about her giving up on her life, which was, I'm not going to speak too much on her story, but she did a lot of things, like we all do, that affected, how great her life could have been. She chose at an early age to go into the life of heroin, and unfortunately, that was something that got a hold of her, and in many bad ways. It put her in a lot of bad predicaments, and she suffered a lot of traumas from it. Things that I guess she couldn't live with. So 2 years ago, this August is her 2 year rest in peace anniversary of not being here. 10 years younger than me. She was 34. She was 34 years old. So I guess I kind of got to do this for her and for anybody else out there who's maybe in a spot where they think they can't get out of, or they can't make it through, or grow through, or heal through. I promise that there's a lot of things that we don't know we can make it through until we're forced to make it through. That being said, when I was in the hospital, it's funny. I'm at the hospital right now. I'm in the parking lot of the rehabilitation hospital that I spent almost 3 months in, and at the time I was here, I was put on a pediatric unit because I wasn't 21 yet. I had just turned 20. Well, yeah, I had just turned 20, and at 21 is the cutoff. So they put me in a peds unit with a lot of children that were, ages 3 to 10, and there was a couple of other people that were, between, 14 and 20 as well as myself, that were there getting, rehabilitation services, physical and mental. But I had seen a lot of children that, were diagnosed with cancer that wouldn't make it another year or two in life, and they didn't even get a chance to live through their teenage years and their young adulthood. That it was heart wrenching and eye opening at the same time. I couldn't no longer just feel bad for myself and just be the pity party and woe is me, which I really I had those feelings, absolutely, for a long time. The biggest thing that when I was laying in the hospital and knowing that I would never run again, I would never play handball again, I would never play basketball, football, ride BMX bikes, motorcycles, everything that I knew was stripped from me, and things that I was really good at, I knew I would never really be good at again. I just knew, and hitting me, and like the plans I had in my brain, as a teenager, and even up until the accident, was, I'm gonna be that 80-something-year-old guy on a handball court, in the summertime, running around, smacking a handball around, having fun, and keeping in shape, and all that, and coming to that conclusion that was never gonna happen again. And what was I gonna do? I had no idea. I was young. Like I said, my where my mental was at that point was not in a good place. I lost my faith. I had no faith. I had nights where I was screaming up to the skies, asking God, why me? Why'd this happen to me? And obviously not getting any answers. And later on having to find out for myself that the answers are within us. There's a lot of power and a lot of knowledge that our souls carry, coming into this world we don't even know about. So I spent 3 months in a rehabilitation hospital, St. Charles Rehabilitation Hospital, amongst great people, like really great nurses and doctors and staff, like the rehabilitation therapists and all that. I was also young, so my recovery and my rehabilitation was a lot easier than someone who let's say loses a leg later on in life. I did not want to be in a bed. I didn't want to be not on my feet. I wanted to be out. I wanted out. And so I was in a wheelchair. I'd say within within 6 or 7 days, I was already getting up out of my bed in the burn unit on one leg and hopping to the bathroom, or hopping, around on one leg and getting my balance, and learning how to function without a leg. It was not easy. I had a cast on this hand for my broken thumb. I had a cast on this hand for my shattered wrist. So 2 casts, amputation, sutures, drainage, all types of crazy shit. I was released from the burn unit in 7 days. They put me to a regular floor. On that first day that I was on the regular floor, um, this was in the middle of June. My accident was on 6/6/99. So I didn't know that these numbers, sixes and nines, were going to follow me throughout my life. We'll get into that at another time. But 6/6/99 it happened. So I guess, about 6/13, I was put to a regular floor with regular nurses. It was like the beginning of summer. It was hot. My room had no air conditioning. It was terrible. And I was so thankful that every day of me being in the hospital, my friends were up there visiting me. I had such a strong support of friends, more so than family. Like my mother and father and sister came up there a couple of times that I can remember, but not like I remember my friends being there every single day. For 3 months they were there. So first day on the regular floor, uh, I'm sitting in like a cushy recliner type chair on wheels, and I'm sweating, and I'm uncomfortable. My cast, I'm sweating in my cast. Everything about, I was pressing the nurse's button. Nobody was answering. It was a mess. And my friends finally came up into my room, and they see me just sweating and miserable. And they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I've been calling the nurse's station for 2 hours. Nobody's come in here. They don't give a shit." It was a whole different setting than the 24-hour, nurses being on call and being there every beck and call, to go into this regular floor where I felt like these nurses didn't give a shit about their jobs. Like, and that's sad, because if you're in that kind of a field where you're supposed to help people, you should have compassion and empathy, and that should be something that you're happy doing, because it's fulfilling your life, and I guess your soul mission. Um, being in that kind of environment.